Greetings, class. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's talk today about the various approaches and processes in Katherin Miller's textbook and Bolman Deal's 4 frames. Bolman Deal defines 4 frames that can be used as tools to look at an organization. A frame can be defined as a mental roadmap, a window or lens that is used to help navigate a business, an environment, or an organization. The 4 frames are structural, human resource, political, and symbolic. So let's explore each frame together. A structural frame has its roots in sociology and management science. Words that describe this frame are militaristic, factory, machine-like, policies, procedures, organizational charts, specialization, standardization, replaceability, and predictability. It is regimented in structured and defined goals and objectives, clear division of labor, and formalized relationships. Katherin Miller describes this in her book, Chapter 2, as the classical approach. Henri Fayol, a French engineer in the late 1800s, is considered the father of modern management theory. His theory on effective organizations encompasses 5 elements. They are planning, organizing, command, coordination, and control. Communication is implicit in these 5 elements as top-down and very prescriptive. So to create such an organization, Fayol further defines how management should be structured through his 6 principles. They are the scalar chain, which essentially is strict vertical hierarchy, unity of command, where one supervisor issues orders, unity of direction, and that is where one supervisor issues goals, division of labor, employees are assigned specific specialized tasks, order, where employees are assigned specific place and time of work, and span of control, and that is where supervisors are directly responsible for a limited number of employees. Max Weber, a German sociologist in the late 1800s, developed a similar management theory as Fayol. His theory of bureaucracy consisted of the following tenets or elements: a clearly defined hierarchy, division of labor, centralization of decision-making and power, performance rules, separate personal and official property and rights, personnel selected for technical qualifications, and employment as the primary occupation. The third theorist discussed in the book is Frederick Taylor, another engineer during the late 1800s. He is most well known for his theory of scientific management and is considered the father of scientific management. His theory is based on 4 tenets. First, there is only one best way to do every job, and this one way can be determined through what he calls a time and motion study. Second, proper selection of worker for our job is critical. Third, training the worker based on the results of the time and motion study is important for success. And then fourth, because of inherent differences between manager and worker, Taylor advocates clear division of labor. He believed that managers are best suited for thinking, planning, and administrative tasks, while workers are best suited for laboring. So as you can see, there are some overlaps in these 3 theorists. These 3 theories are in classical communicative approaches can be viewed as the structural frame defined by Bolman Deal. Let's move on to the second Bolman Deal frame. Human resources frame has its roots in personality and social psychology. Words that best describe this frame are family, human needs, motivation, feelings, relationships, people, social, and interdependence. So as you can see, much softer words than compared to the structural frame. It views organizations as a set of human relationships where, with a central focus of fit between an individual and the organization. Katherin Miller describes this in Chapter 3 as the human relations and human resources approach. However, the Bolman Deal human resources frame can also be seen in other approaches in Miller's book, such as Chapter 5, the cultural approach, and Chapter 6, socialization processes. So, key assumptions for the human resources frame is that organizations exist to serve human needs, and that both sides need each other to survive. When one suffers, so does the other. When one thrives, so does the other benefit. A couple of key theories that Miller covers in her textbook is, and it's not in the slide, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs and McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Abraham Maslow was a professor of psychology who lived in the early to mid 1900s. His theory is based on the 5 levels of human needs. The first is that humans need basic sustenance, such as food, clothing, and water. He called this level the physiological needs level. The second level is called safety and consists of physically safe working conditions. The third level is social needs or affiliations, and he states that in this level people need social relationships with co-workers. The fourth level is called esteem, and Maslow states that people need recognition and affirmation for their work. And all of this leads to the final and fifth level, the ultimate level, which he calls self-actualization. And it is at this level where people are the most productive and creative because all of their previous needs are satisfied. The second management theory is from Douglas McGregor. He was a management professor at MIT during the early to mid 1900s. He came up with a couple of approaches to human motivation called Theory X and Theory Y. In Theory X, management assumes that workers are indolent and lazy by nature, that workers lack ambition, they prefer to be led, they dislike responsibility, and is self-centered. They're indifferent to organizational needs and resistant to change, and is generally not very bright. The antithesis of this theory is Theory Y, where management approaches workers with the assumption that they are bright and creative, that workers seek responsibility and are eager to contribute to the success of the organization, that workers are motivated and enjoy working. And you can see how the two different approaches would frame the way a manager would communicate to employees. Bolman Deal calls this the human resources frame. The third frame is called the political frame, and it has its roots in, of course, political science. Words that best describe this frame are power, control, jungle, players, cutthroat, survival of the fittest, conflict, scarce resources, and self-interest. The central focus of the political frame is getting and using power and managing conflict to get things done, mostly to satisfy personal agendas. Katherin Miller describes these approaches in chapter 6 and 9 as critical approaches in conflict management processes. Some key assumptions of the political frame is that organizations are coalitions or distinct parties of individuals that are self-serving. Because of this, there are long-lasting and enduring differences amongst the coalitions, where one variable of contention is the allocation of scarce resources such as money. The conflict is based around power, the most important asset. Goals and decisions arise from negotiations, and the ends justify the means. Examples of the political frame are tragedies from such dynamics that undermine the safety of the Columbia and Challenger. That is a case study that hopefully you've read in the Katherin Miller book. The fourth frame is from Bolman Deal is called the symbolic frame, and it has its roots in social and cultural anthropology. Words that best describe this frame are culture, sanctuary, meaning, purpose, tradition, history, rituals, story, narration, and of course, symbols. The central focus of the symbolic frame is about building culture, creating faith, stirring feelings and emotions. Symbols are important for meaning creation and is loosely coupled with activity. Another view of symbolism, and let me switch here to a different slide. Another view of symbolism is that events and processes are more about what it can express than what is produced. More about creating hopes, beliefs, and ultimately culture. Some examples of symbols are the McDonald's Golden Arches. When you see the Golden Arches, what images come to bear? What are values that come to mind when you see the Golden Arches? That's an example of what symbolism can create. Symbolism is a form of communication. For managers and leaders, symbolism can be deeds and words that create the heart and soul of teams, therefore generating a wellspring of high performance. So, what are some symbols of the Christian religion? Take a second and think about that. What vision and image comes to mind when you see the Holy Cross? What is symbolic about the Bible? So as you can see, symbolism as a communications tool can be traced back thousands of years. So we've covered a lot today, and I hope that this short lecture helps you to, well, frame Bolman and Deal and Miller's book into something that's a little bit more understandable based on higher order bits. There is a table here that may help, and it may help you too as you go through your readings and this lecture to be able to create a matrix with some of the metaphors that we talked about within the four frames. Please call each other or contact me to further discuss these concepts and ideas, and I hope this has helped a bit. Take care, class. I'll talk to you soon.